There's a feeling most of us know but rarely admit. It's that feeling when you get a text from your boss at 10 p.m. and your stomach knots up. It's the vague dread on a Sunday evening when you think about Monday. You tell yourself, this is just work stress, everyone has it. But it goes deeper than that. It's the feeling that no matter how hard you work, your financial destiny isn't really in your own hands. It depends on a performance review, on a decision made by someone in a conference room, on the health of an economy you can't control. You get a paycheck, but you don't feel agency. And here's the shocking truth. In many cases, you are not being paid in the traditional sense. You are being maintained like an asset. The system is designed not for you to get rich, but for you to get by and keep producing. You're running on a treadmill not to get anywhere, but to keep someone else's machine operating. Today, we're going to call it what it is, modern serfdom. We're going to take apart the gears of this sophisticated trap. You'll see exactly how a stable job actually makes you vulnerable, why working overtime often just makes your boss richer, and how the system turns your very dream of security into golden handcuffs. This isn't the call to quit your job. This is an autopsy, so you can see exactly how you are being owned, and from there, begin to plan how to reclaim ownership of your own life. Meet Sarah. She is the picture of conventional success. 34 years old, has an MBA, a mid-level manager at a Fortune 500 company with a salary of $85,000 a year. She has a nice business card, a sleek downtown apartment, and a car that's still being paid off. Every Monday morning, she puts on her corporate armor and steps into the grind. But let's look closer at Sarah's financial reality. After taxes, insurance, and deductions, she takes home about $4,800 a month. It sounds okay until things start disappearing. Rent, $1,600. Car payment and insurance, $550. Utilities, internet, and phone, $300. Food and rushed meals because she's so busy, $600. Credit card bill from the necessary stress relief vacation, $200. Netflix, Spotify, gym subscriptions she rarely uses, $80. And suddenly, her $4,800 is down to less than $1,500. That money has to cover work clothes, gas, repairs, personal items, and if she's lucky, a little to save. Sarah is running fast, but she is not climbing. She is running on a downward escalator. Every time she gets a raise, her cost of living magically adjusts to suck up the difference. A $5,000 raise, that's exactly how much her landlord increases the rent the next year, plus her new car insurance premium. She isn't accumulating assets, she's funding a lifestyle just expensive enough to make her unable to stop working. This is the first gear of the modern serfdom machine, the illusion of prosperity. The system doesn't bind you with iron chains, it seduces you with golden ones. You are given an identity, the professional, the manager, a lifestyle, the nice apartment, the new car, and a story. I'm on the track to success. In return, you hand over what's most valuable, your time, your creativity, and your autonomy. You think you're building a career, but in many cases, you're just maintaining a position in a machine whose profits flow elsewhere. Let's talk about that machine. Look at this simple equation, the value you create versus the value you capture. Let's say Sarah manages a project that generates $2 million in revenue for her company. She's the coordinator, the crisis handler, the one who makes sure it runs. Her $85,000 salary seems fair, but that's not the whole story. The company isn't just paying her a salary, they're discounting her labor value significantly. That huge gap between the $2 million she helps create and the $85,000 she captures, that's surplus value. And that surplus doesn't go into her retirement account. It goes into shareholder dividends, into massive executive bonuses, into investments that expand the company's power. You are not an employee. In economic language, you are an input cost,
And the goal of any profit-optimizing system is to minimize input costs and maximize output. This translates to pay you as little as possible while squeezing out as much productivity as possible. The benefits, the company culture, the growth opportunities, these are all lubrication mechanisms to keep the wheels spinning smoothly, to reduce friction or discontent, and to ensure you remain an efficient input. This is the second gear, the economics of dependence. The system is engineered to keep you needing the next paycheck. How? Through the chain of obligations. You take a 30-year mortgage on a house that's more than you need. You sign a 5-year lease on a car you can't afford to buy outright. You accumulate student debt for a degree you now must use to pay off the debt. Every liability is a tether to your desk.
It turns choice into a luxury. You can't quit to start a business. You can't negotiate more strongly. You can't say no to unreasonable tasks because you have payments to make. You've become low risk in the system's eyes and low freedom in your own life. But there's a deeper layer, a psychological one. This is the third and most dangerous gear, your own complicity. We're taught to take pride in busyness. I just worked a 60-hour week. That statement carries a false morality. We fuse our identity with our job. I am a marketer, an engineer, a director. And when you are your job, criticizing the system starts to feel like attacking yourself. The system cleverly turns potential rebellion into internal competition. You aren't fighting to change the structure, you're fighting your coworker for the promotion, for the better office corner, for the boss's attention. You're scrambling for breadcrumbs while failing to notice the whole cake is being taken upstairs. And then comes the grateful debtor syndrome. You feel grateful to have the job. You feel guilty for thinking of leaving. You fear losing those benefits, that title, that imagined safety. The fear of loss outweighs the desire for freedom. This is the most subtle control, when the imprisoned start guarding their own prison. So, how do you stop being a modern serf? How do you reclaim ownership of yourself? It doesn't start by burning your savings and quitting. It starts with a shift in awareness, followed by a strategic plan built on 3 pillars. Pillar 1. Break the identification. You are not your job. You are a human with skills, deployable in many ways. Start by separating your income from your identity. Ask, if I weren't paid for this job, who would I be? What would I do? Nurture interests, skills, and relationships outside the office. This creates a psychological trench, a safe space from which you can observe the system without being overwhelmed. Pillar 2 is change the economic equation. The goal isn't to make more money from the job. The goal is to reduce your dependence on it. Follow the inverted formula. 1. Diversify income. Create a stream of income, however small, that isn't tied to your time. It could be from a digital product, rental income, dividends, or a semi-automated micro-business. First target is $500 a month. This number won't change your life, but it will change your mindset. It proves you are no longer fully dependent on a single master. 2. Attack expenses. View every recurring cost as a binding cord. Do you really need that car, that cable package, that apartment? Reducing expenses isn't deprivation, it's cutting the cords. Every $100 you cut monthly is $1,200 of bargaining power you reclaim per year. It allows you to say no. Pillar 3 is build assets, not just income. This is the core difference between the landowner and the serf. The landowner owns things that generate income, assets. The serf trades time for wages. Start converting your time and salary into property. Knowledge assets, a replicable skill, coding, writing, design, that you can package into a product or freelance service. Financial assets, a small investment portfolio, even a few $100s that begins to work for you. Network assets, genuine relationships with like-minded people that can lead to opportunities outside the corporate structure. This process is like slowly buying out your own contract. You don't defect immediately. You gradually increase your value on the open market, loosen the constraints, and ultimately achieve financial agency, the ability to work because you want to, not because you need to. Let's go back to Sarah. If she applies this framework, she won't necessarily quit her job, but she will start behaving differently. She will view her job as a client, not a master. She will exchange her time and expertise for a salary, and more importantly, for skills, network, and capital to build her own exit. She will say no to useless meetings to protect her skill development time. She will negotiate not just for salary, but for remote work days to reduce commuting costs. She will shift from an employee mindset to a service provider mindset. The modern system isn't a doorless prison, it's a maze designed to make you believe you're free while leading you in circles. The key to getting out is realizing you're in a maze. Once you see the walls, you can start mapping your own path. Start today with one question. What in my current life is keeping me owned? A debt? A fear? An identity? Write it down. Then ask, what's the smallest step I can take this week to loosen that grip? It might be canceling one subscription. It might be enrolling in a skill course. Or it might simply be spending an evening dreaming about a different life. The journey from serf to owner doesn't happen overnight. It happens in every conscious choice, each one reaffirming that you and only you are the rightful owner of your one life. Thank you for your time. Remember, freedom isn't given, it's taken, and that fight starts in your mind right now.